I feel like this side I look like Ronald McDonald. Hi guys. Okay, so genuinely, I've been planning to do this video for so long. I'm sorry that there was no video last week. You know, I've always been very on top of my uploading schedule. Like, I never miss a Sunday, ever, ever, ever. But I have some personal stuff, all good stuff going on right now, but it's taking a lot of my time away that I would normally devote to filming and to my content. So that is why there was no video last week. I'm sorry. You know, it's such a common thing to say, but I really feel like it is quality over quantity. So it's like, I could post every single day. Oh, I just bit the side of my mouth. I could post every single day and like have it be rushed and just try to get something up, but I feel like it won't resonate with you guys or inspire you guys or help you guys out unless I have the time to really dedicate to my content to like do it well. But I promise you guys, this video right here is gonna change your life. I think it might change your life, honestly. So I'm gonna do half of my face with techniques that are the best techniques. Then the other half, we're gonna show you what not to do. So if I say something that's wrong or on the wrong side that you do and love for your face shape or for your skin type or whatever it is, keep doing it, of course. But these are the things that I really, really avoid and how I make them better on this side. So anyways, let's get into it. What you're doing wrong with your makeup. Obviously, you guys know, e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil is my jam. I'm gonna use this on the right side. When you're filling in your brows, you want to think about lifting, and that's really goes for like every step of your makeup routine, but it really does start from the brows. As you guys have probably all heard in your lifetimes, brows frame the face. So for me, I've done a lot of work to grow out my brows and like have a nice brow shape even without makeup. But what I like to do is just do very, very small hair-like strokes with my e.l.f. Ultra Precise. And I don't really want to fill it in a ton, because when I leave it a little more natural looking, I feel like it just doesn't look like I'm wearing a ton of makeup. And I use the shade Taupe, which is key. I always like to recommend people to do 1 to 2 shades lighter than their actual brow color, because I feel like that creates a softer brow. When I go really dark on my brows, I just feel like, especially since I have dark hair, like it's so overwhelming. Of course, if you have blonde hair or really light colored eyebrows, then that's totally different. And then I would recommend probably going with same color or 1 shade darker potentially, but just try things out. Don't do anything that's too overwhelming for the eyes, because I feel like the brows gotta look good, but they don't gotta look in your face. Soft brows, extend out at the side, and try to keep as much of the arch as possible. Now on the other side, I'm gonna use a pomade because I think it will show you exactly what I'm talking about. I used to use pomades like way back when, but for the last 2-3 years, I've been a little precise pencil kind of girl. The darkness of your product is a little bit more personal preference. If you like a dark brow, do it, go for it. But you definitely do not want to make this front section too dark or too boxy, because then it starts to close off the face too much. On my brows, like the way that mine are shaped, if I take this line and bring it too far down, it automatically starts to make this side of my face like just look a little, I don't want to say droopy, but like a little droopy. And if you like a straight brow look, that's a whole other story. You can create the straight brow while following this line and then taking the brow like a little more out this way. You just don't really want to focus on filling in the bottom part, because it's gonna drag your face down a little bit. Okay, and see how that just starts to look really, really intense? I just don't love that on me. So that's not part of my repertoire. I don't know how you say that. That was definitely not right, but that's just not my technique. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the brows on both sides with some concealer. You definitely want to carve out this arch and then extend that brow outwards. Okay, and you want to blend that out. I love this brush. This is from the Makeup by Ariel collab with Morphe. And see, when you take this concealer out, that's when you really start to get that uplifted brow look. And then I literally just take the blending side, so I didn't pick up any other product. I take the blending side and just kind of shape the top of the brow, but you do not want to do what I'm about to do on the other side and run your concealer on the top of your brows. Like, this is what I literally used to do. It's not really the look anymore, okay? Oh my God, it's so cringy. It's honestly so cringy. And I didn't even use like that light of concealer. This is just the normal concealer that I use to carve my brows, which is the Pat McGrath LM11. And it still looks just so cray cray up there. If you've ever gotten flashback right above the brows, that's from this concealer thing. I mean, honestly, it does make your brows look snatched. I just feel like it's a little too perfected for like just makeup these days, you know? So I'm taking the same Pat McGrath concealer and I'm just gonna prime my eyes. And I like using the same concealer for the brow carve out and my eyelid primer because then I feel like it just blends together a lot more nicer and just a little more naturally. What I don't want to see is this kind of craziness. I don't even want to blend with my blender on that because it's gonna mess up the rest of my makeup. But like when you're doing a whole different color tone, this is not gonna work for your everyday looks, okay? If you're doing like avant-garde, editorial, super colorful, and you need a clean base, that's a whole different thing. But for like your go-to makeup routine, I don't want to see this sort of situation. Do you guys do this? So see how even when I'm working really hard to blend that out, there's some disconnect between the brow and the eyelid. Use your concealer. It's perfect because it's like a dual use product. Use your concealer to carve your brows and for your eyeshadow base. Moving on to our eyeshadow, what I do recommend doing is using your bronzer to start off your blending tone because then that just like makes it a lot easier later to make the look very cohesive because the exact same tone that's going on your cheeks is going onto your eyes. And what you don't want to do is go in with that darker shade first because it's going to take a lot longer to blend and it's going to be a lot harder to blend. When you start off with that bronzy shade, then go in with a darker shade on a really nice, precise brush, you could see how much more blended it looks, how it does have a slight warm undertone, even though I use the exact same darker shade on both eyes. They look completely different. And I really love the look when I carve out this intersection. I just feel like it shapes my eyes nicely and it opens up my, like the inner corner of my eyes. So I'm gonna do that on the right side for today, but obviously if you don't wanna do this, you don't have to. It's just a technique that I really like. And once again, same exact concealer. So I've used the same concealer for like pretty much all of my eye area. And when you're doing that, I really recommend using like a concealer brush that has a nice pointed tip because that's what's really gonna create those straight lines. And then I'm literally just gonna use my face powder and pat that in. Then you wanna take a medium shade that's in between the transitional and your darkest shade used and just blend out this edge. And then what you can also do is take a little pencil brush and darken the outer edge to make that highlighted section of the eyeshadow look even more prominent. Okay, so now we're on to like the detail work of the eyes. These little steps, I swear to you guys, are gonna make the biggest difference in what you are forgetting to do. I feel like a lot of people forget this. You know when you take a photo and like there's a big space under the eyes and the lashes just look all crazy? Like that's what we're basically avoiding with all these little detail steps that I'm gonna tell you guys about. I'm gonna go in and clean it up, and I like to just follow the corner of my lash line straight up and out towards the end of where my brow is. Then I'm gonna take the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist color pencil in graphite, and I'm gonna run this along my lash line. And this is the best gel pencil or like kohl pencil, but it has kind of like a gel-like formula. It's the best one for this step because once it sets, and it really helps your lash line look fuller. Whether you're wearing like false lashes or not, obviously you guys know I'm not really as much of a false lash kind of girl anymore, but I'm gonna show you guys on the wrong side how not to put them on because I feel like that's like a thing that a lot of people probably need to know. But yeah, we're gonna take a potted gel liner and use this to really shape out the eyes because this looks okay, like this side. Don't pay attention to this side. This side looks okay right now. We're gonna make it even better with like, again, the details. So you wanna use a flat brush. This is a MAC 239S. And then I'm taking MAC Dip Down Pro Longwear fluid line. And I'm gonna start to pack that on right where the pupil ends out. And this is going to help so much with shaping our eyes in that beautiful, uplifted, feminine shape, even without doing like a full wing, because a full wing is like a whole beast of its own. And I kind of want to do like a video similar to this, but just focus on wing liner, because I feel like there's so many different things. Eyeshadows in general, like different eyeshadow looks, the wing liners, like there's a lot of nuances that you could go wrong with the eyes, but especially wing liner, I feel like there's a lot of rights and wrongs there. So let me know if you guys would want to see that. So you want to smudge that out in the shape where we cleaned up the edge of the eyeshadow. And then I always like to take the same brush and just pat it over with a dark brown eyeshadow. And when we start to add on our mascara, you'll see how much more finished the right side looks. And even if you want to go a little lighter with this, like if you don't want it to be as dramatic, just do it with a little brown eyeshadow, you know, something to uplift the outer corners. Always a nice little flare. Strip lashes. If you're gonna use a strip lash, you definitely you definitely want to cut it and make it custom for your eye shape and eye size. When lashes are too large for your eye shape, it just looks a lot more unnatural. I always like to apply looking down. If you bring it down and place it onto your natural lashes, the lash band sits a lot prettier. You know what I mean? But if you take this and go like this and like have it sticking straight up, it's just not gonna be like looking like how you would expect. I feel like this makes my eyes look like I'm like a doll or something, but like not in the way that I would want. So when you're applying your lashes, think about it that way. You want to apply the lashes like in the same direction as your natural lashes would be growing out. If you set them down and they're too far up, that's when they get really uncomfortable. And because we didn't fill in that space, you see the space underneath, and it's just like not the cutest. I never wear lashes this big anymore, so it's kind of weird for me to even see like a lash this big. What I prefer to do is cut the lash, any lash that I'm using, whatever it is, in half, or even maybe a little less than half sometimes, and just stick it onto the outer corner, following that same technique of like bringing the lash down and having it mimic where your natural lashes are growing. And you can see a huge difference. I mean, I feel like this suits my eyes a lot better, so I definitely recommend doing it. It's also just more comfortable. You're not gonna see that lash band popping up on the inside if you're only applying the lashes on the outer third. And I also just feel like it looks more of a vibe, you know? It's just the vibe. And you always wanna go in and press your natural lashes together with the falsies. Then take a little bit of your mascara and coat your natural lashes. This eye is already twitching. It's so heavy. I used to wear lashes like this all the time. All the time. And now I'm just like, dang. So for primer, I've been loving this Ilia True Skin Radiant Priming Serum, because it's really nice and lightweight. It definitely has that serum-y texture, but it's just beautiful. And I'm gonna stick with the illuminating theme for our wrong side. Even if you're going for that illuminated glowy look, you never wanna use a primer all over the skin that has a lot of glitter in it. It can work for the high points, but if you're putting that all over your skin, like every little bit of texture that you have is gonna start to show through, which for me, that's not the vibe. So I'm gonna use this Rare Beauty. I love a lot of their products, but this particular primer just does not work for my skin type because it's so illuminating that you'll see when I start to apply my foundation, it just highlights all my pores, all my texture. If you have a lot of texture and pores, and that's like one of your main concerns that you wanna cover, I would even just go with a matte primer because that's going to really conceal them a lot better. But if you still want the glow, something that has the radiance but doesn't have shimmer in it is gonna do you some wonders. And another tip before we get to the foundation is, I've talked about this before, but conceal your breakouts before you even go in with your foundation. This is gonna help to create that nice even base, and then when you go over that with your foundation, it's just gonna smooth things out and make an even layer. But having this extra coverage underneath helps to like just make everything blend together and helps your redness, breakouts, etc. get covered up properly. And you want to use a concealer that's as close to your foundation shade as possible. So don't match this concealer for blemishes to your skin color. Match it to your body color, match it to your foundation color. Like that's the vibe that we're going with, okay? So when you're doing, oh my gosh, this is so fragrancy. This is not my normal foundation, but this foundation is, as you can tell, it matches my skin tone, but once I finish my makeup, it's gonna be way, way, way too light for my body and my completed look. So that's one thing to always remember, whether we're talking about the concealer for your blemishes or your actual foundation shade, you don't want to match it to your skin tone. You want to match it to your body. And obviously, I think you guys probably know this, but just so we can put it out there, you gotta find the right foundation for your skin type. You know, whether you're dry, normal, oily, and that's kind of just trial and error. Okay, now see how like, even though it blends in, it just looks so off from my actual body color. And then I'm gonna take my Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection foundation in medium 18 and just pounce that in so that I don't move around the concealer we already have down. And you'll see it looks dark when like you first put it on, but once we add on our highlight and our contour, this is what's really gonna blend out to just make it look very seamless. All right, now moving to our concealer, you wanna take a lighter shade. So this is LM11, the same one that I used for my eye priming step. But you want to keep your concealer kind of tight into the inner parts of the face, because that's what's going to give you that more like snatched up look. Then we're going to go over here. You do not want to drag this concealer down, because doing it in this shape actually helps to uplift the face. Once again, when you do your concealer and drag it down like literally we used to all do, it just makes such a difference in what your end result looks like. I'm not even gonna clean up there because that's what we do on the good side. But how do I do my nose? I don't really know how to do this in half, so I'm just gonna go with a normal little stitch there. Okay, so that's what that looks like. I feel like honestly you can't really tell until I do the good side how much better this side looks. So we're keeping this really tight and high up on the inner corner. And then we're gonna take a little bit of liquid blush. This is Bliss from Rare Beauty, and I take my liquid blush on the high points of the cheeks. I feel like this just helps with that uplifted look. I have more of a round face shape. If you have more of a long face shape, I would actually recommend going on the apples, but a lot of that really just depends on what your face looks like. But for me personally, I like it on the high points these days. I'm just gonna show you what it looks like when it's a little lower, because it definitely changes your face shape up. So when I go like this and tilt it almost in the same shape as like my highlighter would be, then when I go this way and do the blush a little lower, just like where you would normally sit, you can see how it just, again, changes it up a little bit. All right, now cream contour. I definitely recommend making more of a diagonal with your cream contour. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand. I really love this because it makes it really easy. So I do a diagonal line and then go up my forehead. If I do the contour, like I'm going a little above where my actual cheekbone sits, because I want to, again, create that more uplifted look. If I actually took this product where my cheekbone is, you could see a big difference of like where that product actually sits. And I'm still gonna do the same thing, go along the sides, but you'll see when we blend, it's gonna be a whole different look. And same thing here, I literally make a little diagonal line. Okay, so nose contour is interesting because if you make the lines too wide, like you're just gonna run into a lot of trouble. So you want to make these lines as thin as possible. And then I like to shape my nose underneath and make like this little ball shape. If you use too wide of a brush, I'm just gonna use this applicator to show you guys. You can see even when that middle line of highlight is really small, if you bring your contour too wide, and I exaggerated it obviously to show you guys, but if you bring it too wide, it actually still widens the nose versus bringing everything in. So you really need to have this contour be like thin, 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 right up to the bridge. And then when you blend this out, you always want to keep blending upwards. Because if you don't, it starts to look very muddy. And because we used such a light foundation on this side, the contour starts to look a lot more extreme. And see, we get that like line here that never really blends out. And I always like to take this Maybelline, I already put the powder in, but it's the Lasting Fix banana powder. I'm gonna take that and clean up this area right here. And of course, set underneath the eyes. This really makes it so, oh my gosh, I forgot to blend out my nose contour. Okay, I just blended that out, and you wanna take that powder and bring it right up to where you want your nose contour to end. This is just really gonna slim out the nose. And what I've been liking to do for just a little bit of extra coverage is take my like face powder, this is MAC Studio Fix, and use that to wipe away our mini bake. I didn't leave that on for very long, like only a couple seconds honestly, because I like the look of a more natural under eye. Okay, and then when you're applying, you know, powder blush, powder bronzer, you just want to go in that same kind of arrangement, but like look how natural but like snatched this side of my face looks. And this side, it doesn't look bad, it just definitely changes the way that my face lays out. And I feel like a lot of makeup these days, or right now with like the current trends, is basically just like how to shape your face versus how to do the best makeup. Does that make sense? Because it's all about like the natch vibe. So I'm gonna use the Jaclyn Hill liquid highlighter High Gleams to bring even more attention to the top high points of my cheeks. And this is such a pretty product. You can use it on its own, like under your foundation, with the foundation, or even pat it on top, and it's just so pretty. And when you really pinpoint the high point and saturate the highlighter there, then blend out, I feel like that's when you just get this like beautiful glow. And on the contrary, if you're not pinpointing that like perfect high point of the face and you place your highlighter too far in, I feel like this actually somehow like widens the face, but also it brings a lot of attention to these pores. And I get a lot of pores right here. I think that's a pretty common place to have enlarged pores. So you never want to apply your highlight right here, because see how all of a sudden like my texture there in that area is so much more visible, because we're actually bringing that light to it, that attention to it. You just want to keep it like more towards the back. Lift it up. All right, now lips. I always like to go for a nice brown lip liner. I do overdraw it at the top in the very middle, but I bring it to meet at the corner at my natural lip line. So what you don't want to do, and I think I'm going to do this in red to like really show you guys the difference, is take this high, like super high, and keep going with it high. Like you need to have some meet up right back to your natural, or else it just kind of looks like a little too much, you know? And obviously that's not to say you can't overline your lips. I just feel like when this is very rounded and not even slightly like in the shape of your natural lip line towards the corners, it starts to look very unnatural. And again, I was exaggerating. But yeah, you can obviously still overdraw like I did on this side. It just needs to be a little bit closer to the corner here and not so rounded, because that's when, you know, the overdraw looks a little too extreme in my opinion. And I always like to go in with a gloss, so I'm just gonna add a little gloss right towards the center. And on the wrong side, I'm just gonna make this extreme, because it needs to be said, but you don't want to go super dark on the under eyes. If you're doing a smoky eye and you're matching the shade on the top and the bottom, that is okay. But when you're doing more of this everyday glam, natural vibe kind of thing, like you just don't want to go in with a super dark shade on the bottom because it's really going to drag the eyes down, and you'll see in a second, even when I blend this out, it just looks a little crazy. You know what I mean? Like if, oh my God, I almost fell backwards on my chair. If I'm gonna add anything to an eye look like this, that's more of these like bronzy neutral shades, then I'll actually just go in with my bronzer and place it on mainly the outer edge right here and then blend inwards. So you can definitely apply product underneath the eyes. It's just trying to work with products that are gonna work with you versus drag the face down, drag the lips. I don't know, like this just looks, I can't. See how that just changes my eye shape though? Like it actually, I like posted a little teaser on my IG story, and Elaine, I swear girl, you are like the most supportive person like that follows me, and I love you so much. She literally just wrote, this is giving me 2017 Rox brows that I was dying to have back then. Honestly though, like this is how I used to do my brows. Honestly, even worse. Like I did it actually like a lot better than I used to do. This was how I used to do them, and I feel like now this is just so much more my vibe of like this just super soft, sculpted, natural look. Like we still like the sculpt, but we like it to look a little natural. You know what I mean? It's just funny. I love you, Elaine. You're the best. But yeah, hope you guys like this video. I really wanted to do this like dual side because I felt like it could show you guys the very extreme difference that it makes to do, you know, just like the techniques that I've been doing that I showed you guys on this side versus techniques that are maybe a little outdated, or just placement of products, how you're using your products. You can change it all up with just a few little techniques. So I hope you guys liked it. Give this video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe down below, and you are beautiful inside out. See you guys next time. I'm literally already redoing this side of my face. I cannot believe how many DMs I'm getting right now being like, is thick brow Rox back? Do you guys want thick brow Rox back? I just feel like this is just so much nicer and softer, but I'm really getting a lot of feedback from you guys saying that you want the thick brows back. So comment down below, honestly. Do you miss thick brow Rox? Is this something that needs an encore? Like, what's the tea? What's the real tea here? All right, bye guys.